Hello guys, welcome to this Marvel Designer crash course. We're gonna go over some of the basics of this class simulation software. The first thing I want to go for is import a model. Oh, before we do that, a few things I want to change underneath preferences. My menu is above that, but just go to settings, user settings, and change the view control to Maya. And also underneath preferences gizmo, I use the word coordinate, and you should be fine. We go to File, Import OBJ, and grab one of the geometry exported from ZBrush. This will ask you about the units and everything. Now I'm not sure yet, so let me just use the default setting and press OK. As you can see, that's how the model looks like, but if you zoom out, you can see now this model is actually pretty small. A proper model size will be closer to a proper human head will be closer to the length of this grid and slightly shorter than that. So this is like 100 times smaller actually. So I'm gonna grab it by clicking on it and press the delete button to get rid of it. I'm gonna go for File, OBJ, right? Just one more time, but this time instead of using millimeter, I can use meter, and okay. That way it's gonna tell it to use meter as the size, and it's gonna convert the model size properly. But this is 1,000 times bigger, so that's not properly either. I'm gonna do this time. Import it using millimeter, but make it like 100 times bigger, so 2 more zeros on the scale to really scale it up 100 times bigger, and I should get a proper size. Now you can see it's almost like the same length of the grid. Let me click on the model and drag this blue arrow up to position it above the ground. As you can see, it's also updating in the 2D pattern window. Alright. So now a few things we can change is the skin color of this model. I can change the diffuse color to something just a little bit darker. Alright. And I'm gonna go ahead and create some pattern on it. Okay. So the first thing we want to create is a belt. I'm gonna go grab out. I should be able to. Sorry, I should explain it. So go to this rectangular tool here, or S button on the keyboard, and drag out a rectangular. Now the length of this guy should be almost twice the length, and a little bit beyond that of the 2D view, because you have the other side and you also have the thickness. Alright, let me click and drag this guy to move it to the back, and Control G to flip it. Now the reason I flip it is because the normal direction should be facing inwards, but the darker face, which is the inside of the face, is now facing outwards. That's why I'm clicking on it and Control G to flip it. Right. Now let me holding down W and click on the top, and holding down W and click there, and also click on the other guy on the other side, the other corner. That's gonna pin those guys on those 3 points. Now if I go simulate by clicking this button, or as you can see the shortcut is space, they will fall down but will be constrained also by those 3 points. The reason I'm doing that is because now I can just drag this guy, drag this guy forward, and drag this guy also forward here to really make it wrap around the waist. Alright. And then I'm gonna go to the segment sewing, which is this guy here in the 2D view. Click on this edge and go to the other edge and click. As you can see now, they're being sewed together. But also you can see the lines are being sewed in a flipped way, right? This lower corner are now sewed actually to the top, which is not correct. To fix that, I can press Ctrl B to flip it right away. Alright. Now I can press space away again. As you can see, it's trying to sew those together. I still have those pins. You can holding down W and click on the pin to disable that, or Ctrl W to disable all the pins altogether. Now you can see I have this fabric wrapping around the waist. Now one thing you probably are noticing is that it's too big, so I'm gonna make it shorter. Alright, cool. Now one of the things you may be able to visualize like exactly how tight it is Alt 7 on the keyboard, and as you can see it's showing you the pressure on the fabric. Green means it's okay, 120% is going to be meaning that this fabric is basically being stretched out to be 120% bigger than its original size. Okay, as you can see, it will show you that when you actually try to drag this stuff around. This is actually the visualization tag here. So Alt 7 is that, Alt 1 is the actual model with thickness, Alt 2 is without thickness, Alt 3 is without texture and thickness. So Alt 4 is transparent, Alt 5 is that, and all sorts of visualizations. Anyway, let me just drag it here and maybe make it shorter, or I mean not as high. Alright, and this is gonna be the belt. So if you think about a real jean, right, it's not like that simple, right? You should have this part overlapping on top of the other part. So let me go ahead and use its internal ellipse tool and holding down Shift while dragging inside. That's gonna allow me to create a circle here. I'm gonna move it to the middle, Control C and Control V to copy it, holding down Shift, and move my cursor to the other side and click to create a circle on the other side. And you can also drag it to move it and hold it down Shift. Oh, by the way, I was changing the tool back to the transform pattern when I'm doing that. Otherwise, if you're using this, you probably are dragging multiple ones, right? So go back to this when you are finished with the tools you're using. Transform pattern, which is A button on the keyboard. I'm gonna press N button and B button, which is this tool called Edit Sewing. I'm gonna grab this sewing I did earlier and delete it because I don't really want them to sew this way anymore. I'm gonna sew this circle to the other circle. To do so, I'm gonna go for this free sewing. Double click here and double click here. It's gonna allow me to sew those two circles together. Free sewing means you can make it sewed from not just different segments, but anywhere or any portion of the segment to another portion. Double click just goes throughout the circle. Anyway, now if I start simulating, now you can see the this part becomes overlapping in the middle, which is exactly what I want. There are other functions like buttons that can do similar thing. I just like this way because it's more stable, I guess. Anyway, so now I have this. I'm gonna go change the fabric to something a little bit stiffer. So I'm gonna go for add and change this guy to belt. And here maybe I can give it a darker color. It's not really changing here because we're not actually assigning this guy to the belt yet. To do so, just drag it to the belt. Alright, cool. Maybe just a more bluish color, like a pen. Okay. Anyway, so that's the color part that you can change. You can also go to the physical properties and go to preset and change that to something like leather, which basically make it stiffer. And if you really want to define or control the property, you can go to the belt again, go to the details, and you can drag those sliders around. The higher those sliders are, the stiffer the fabric is, basically. The first 5 are the important ones. Stretching means stretching weft means the anti-stretching strength on the horizontal direction, and stretch wrap is the vertical direction. And shear is the diagonal direction. Bending weft and bending wrap is the corresponding bending resistance. So the higher those are, the more stiffer this fabric becomes. Okay. Alright. So I have this belt created. Now I'm gonna create the pants. Go ahead and use this rectangular tool again and drag out a rectangle like this in front of the leg, and it will be created in a 3D view too. Let me just drag it closer to the body. Okay, and I'm gonna press X button. X will allow me to create new points. I'm gonna drop down a point right here. Okay, and then grab this guy, right click. I'm gonna go for, and again I'm switching back to the transform pattern, which is the A button, so that I can select it again and control, actually right click, go to symmetric pattern, holding down shift and position one more right here. So that's basically the front. I'm gonna grab those two, Control C, Control V, holding down shift again and click to create the back. I'm gonna drag the back to the back and Control G to flip it, because you know it's the, let me out 2 so we can see that. I want to make the darker area always facing inwards. Now it's really important that you do that, otherwise you'll have normal issues. Alright, now let me actually do some sewing. Here in the belt, I want the garments, or the four front and back of the legging, right, to be sewed to the bottom of the belt, but not all the way. I want to sew from there all the way to, oops, to here. I was pressing escape to get rid of that gizmo. Anyway, so from there to there, not including the overlapping part. So I need to know where it is. That's why I do click there, and I can see a blue dot here and another guy here, right? I can press X and click there to add a dot. So again, that blue dot allows me to visualize where it is in the 2D part. And then moving on to the middle, I'm gonna go use X again, which is add point, right click on this line, and then use uniform split and change that to 4. That's gonna allow me to split it into 4 equal parts. And as you can see, one of the interesting things is that their length is like 176, and I want to see how long they are. They're 706, so that's too much. I'm gonna grab these guys and then also press Shift Z to allow me to see the length of those different lines. I'm gonna drag it in until I got to 176, so that they can be connected properly. It's too short. Okay, good enough. Then I'm gonna sew those guys together. So this, right, goes to there. Press N and click there and there to sew it. And moving on to this guy, should be going the other way. Right. And this guy just keep going, and Control B if it's flipped. And the other guy eventually here goes to there. Right. And then when I start simulating, as you can see now, they're being like positioned like this. Of course. Alright, let's also sew them together. Oops, it's trying to. Oh, another thing is why they're like doing all this crazy like moving. It's because they're really stiff now, because I changed that to belt. I'm gonna go back to the default fabric and drag this default fabric to all these garment I'm using on the legging. And maybe rename it to Gin, and also make it kind of like a cool blue gin color. Alright. Cool. So those are connected properly, but it doesn't mean the others are okay. Like these guys are too short. So here I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna press the V button on the keyboard, and then drag it out here and drag it in to give this a bigger contour on the side. I'll do the same thing on this guy too. Right. Let me move them a little bit further away from each other. And for the inside, I'm gonna also drag these two dots in. Do the same thing for these guys. Press V button and drag on the curve to curve it in too. And that's gonna allow me to curve these guys to whatever shape I see fit. Now these guys are on the back, I'm gonna grab these two and drag them down to give them a little bit more volume because they do need more volume. Maybe just drag those forward too. Okay. And now I can start sewing these guys together. So press N button and sew this guy to this guy and this guy to this guy. And let's sew the outside and inside. This guy should go to this guy. And this guy should go to this guy. Alright. And also the back should be closed. Okay. Now let me just reposition these guys a little bit better. You can double click to get the gizmo back and just want to move them in a little bit more. Alright, and then space to simulate. As you can now, the pants are being wrapped around the neck, the leg. Now one thing I do notice is that it's probably not long enough, so I'm gonna drag these guys downwards to make the leg longer, and drag that forward, and drag that forward. Okay. Another thing I'm noticing is if I Alt 7, I'm seeing a lot of pressure happening on these parts. So I probably need to make the leg just a little bit wider here. So Alt 2 to go back, holding down V button, and make that wider. And also make this wider too. Do the same thing on the back. Alright, that feels a little better. It's depending on you, like how you want to design it. That's too much fabric, so I'm gonna maybe bring these guys back. Don't really need that much, I guess. Alright. Maybe a little bit more on the top. I'm gonna drag this guy up. Different characters are different, so you probably need to tweak a little bit here and there to eventually make it fit well. And maybe just a little bit more volume here to support this part. Should be fun, actually. So now I have the pants, the primary patterns being created. Alright, now I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix what's happening here. So one of the things I'm gonna do is press X and create a, actually go find out where it is, maybe here. X and click, create a point there so I can sew the bottom ones together. That's gonna move them closer to each other, right? And I do realize that maybe my pattern is kind of like too soft again. So I'm gonna grab this gin and change the presets to then it's gonna allow it to behave more like gin kind of thing. I'll drag that closer to the middle. Alright, maybe that's a little too tight. Let's take a look. So that's a little too tight on the bottom. I'm gonna grab that and that, drag them up, drag these guys down to ease that out. Maybe too much. Drag them up just a little. Alright. Now kind of still want this part to be, you know, having a little bit more maybe fabric. So I'm gonna maybe drag it inwards more just to ease that. And also these guys. Should be good enough. Not worrying too much about that. Go back a little bit. Maybe a little lower than that. Okay. Anyway, it goes to the gym here, and let's say, how about a little bit lesser stretching? So to prevent it from going too stretchy. I guess that's bending then. I'll go ahead and change the bending. Actually harder for that to solve out. I guess so. Maybe I need to control the go back. It's better actually without the change I have. Anyway, so I really want to close that. I'm thinking, what should I do? Maybe I'm gonna grab these, all these guys, and just make them wider. And that's gonna give me just a little bit more material here. And I don't need that much here in the middle. It's too much. Okay, now that's better. Okay, cool. And if I wanted to, I can also make the bottom tighter. That's they're getting too big. Alright, so now I'm happy with this. I'm gonna go ahead and create this part, the fly in the middle. I need a square thing here, and just solid it right on the edge, and just move it in and simulate, and it will pop back right away. And that's all I need. Cool. Now moving on to the back, I can start adding some pocket. I'm gonna go for a rectangular and drag it here, and move it to maybe where it's supposed to be, and just make it shorter. Press X, give it a point, and drag it down. That's an internal shape. Right? So grab this guy and right click. I can go for a clone as partner. That should allow me to create a little pocket shape. And then I'm gonna go for a symmetric partner to create the other guy. Grab both and drag them to the back. Now just be aware of the normal thing again. Right, Alt 2 and look at the normal, they're all flipped, so Control G to flip these guys. And then I can do segment sewing by using N, right, to sew these guys together. If I sewed it wrong, just Control B. And simulate. Now I have two pockets on the back. Then for pockets in the front, I'm gonna do similar things. I'm gonna go create, actually not similar things, but similar. Go create a internal line, click on the edge using that, actually. Using that, click here and go to here, double click. That's gonna allow me to see a line like this. Now it's too long, I'm gonna grab it and drag it back. Maybe also that one goes in just a little bit, and press V and make it a arced line. Now that's where I want the pocket to be. So I'm gonna right click on this line and go for a cut and sew to cut them open. Okay. And then I'm gonna go B button as sew editing and grab this sewing and delete it. So now I have this open pocket. And just like what I did here, I just need to have something filling inside. So I'm gonna go Control C and Control V to copy paste this guy. Go use internal line here and oops, and actually just grab this guy and right click. There is the offset as the internal line, and just click on that or holding that until it goes in enough, far enough. And I'm gonna say okay, that's good. I'm gonna right click on this line. Well, go to the actually this edit part mode, which is Z button. Right click and then cut. It's just gonna allow me to just cut that out, and I can just go ahead and delete this guy, and that's actually what I need. I'm gonna sew this guy. Let me move things around. So this guy to there, and I can right click on it. There is a superimpose over. That's not cool. Actually, I don't really care. Just move it inwards. And simulate. So let's go. We'll go back. It's flipped on in the back, which is not what I want. So Control G to flip the normal, and then rotate it just to position it properly, and then space again to simulate, and I just wanted to go inside, so grabbing it and simulate again, and now it's on the inside. And yeah, that's gonna be the pocket. I'm gonna control, actually just symmetric pattern here for the other side, and again the same thing. So this guy to there, press B and delete that sewing, and move it in and simulate, and that's it. So I have the front pocket down. Now there are other details you can add, like here at the bottom, maybe you can want to fold it over, right? You can go ahead and use this internal line again, create an internal line like this. It's another guy right here, make it longer, press Z button and drag that point to the edge. Sometimes they're not aligned properly, I guess, but they're aligned properly on one edge, which is weird. Anyway, I don't really care. For now, I'm just gonna grab this line and use the folding, select this line, and tell it to fold up by dragging that arrow here. Do the same thing. Oops. Same thing on this guy. Same thing on this guy. It's a little lagging for some reason, but it's okay. It's the last guy here. And do that. Alright. So now if I go simulate, they'll be actually all rolled up like that. Because I told you so. So yeah. You can fold things like that quite easily. And if I don't want that anymore, I can go ahead and delete those lines, and they will still be folded because they're already folded. So just grab those lines by using the edit pattern. Now they're gone, and I can start simulating. As you can see, the folding is still there. Cool. Of course, you can drag it down if you wanted to. Alright. So once you're happy with the shape you're getting, you can then go ahead and give it more resolution. To do so, I'm going to grab everything here, and let's shift Z to turn off the visualization of the lens. And change the particle distance to 5. It's going to allow me to have many more details. I'm going to go ahead and simulate again. It's going to give me better detail. It's going to be slow too. Alright, that's basically how you make garments. This is just a crashing course for Marvelous Designer, and maybe in the future I can make more for this, but that's basically how you use this program. Alright, so thanks for watching. See you next time.